Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Link TV presents Mosaic World News from the Middle East. Here are today's top stories.
Israel starts building 600 new settlement units after freeze ended. Maliki's regional support tour leads him to Turkey. And Karachi back to normalcy after deadly wave of violence. Mosaic World News from the Middle East begins now. The Israeli Peace Now organization revealed that the building of new settlement units in the West Bank is proceeding at a fast pace. The organization said construction of approximately 600 housing units started after the settlement freeze expired.
Here, work is quickly proceeding to expand the Karmet Sur settlement and other Israeli settlements in the West Bank. The Israeli Peace Now organization says that the continued building of additional settlement units in the West Bank is occurring at a fast pace.
The organization estimates that work on about 600 housing units started at the end of the construction freeze. We're looking to complete the survey in order to know the exact number of units.
The Palestinian leadership refuses to resume the direct negotiations that were launched by the American administration and Israel on September 2nd, before Israel halts settlement construction. It says that it will seek other alternatives if the negotiations fail.
Settlement
construction is a unilateral Israeli act. It is a hostile and colonial act. What is the point of continuing settlement construction while negotiating the evacuation and complete end of settlements? There are a lot of contradictions between Israel's actions and its statements.
The Israeli government insists that construction on existing settlements does not contradict its goal of seeking peace.
Debate around new settlement construction is a fabricated obstacle to the peace talks. The construction is taking place on a small percentage of the land and does not affect the settlement map. It bears no effect on the possible peace settlement.
Netanyahu had proposed an extension to the settlement freeze, which expired on the 26th of September, under the condition that the Palestinian leadership recognize Israel as a national state for the Jewish people. The Palestinian leadership refuses to acknowledge Israel as a Jewish state, considering the description of Israel's nature to be solely an Israeli issue. Ashraf Negi, BBC.
Ashraf Negi, BBC.
From Ramallah, we are joined by our BBC correspondent, Iman Erikat. To start with, what is the reaction to the building of 600 new settlement units in the West Bank?
The Palestinian position remains clear and insists on a complete and comprehensive halt to all settlement activities. According to Peace Now, the construction of around 600 new settlement units across different settlements in the West Bank started after the settlement freeze expired on September 26th. It is worth mentioning that, according to numerous Palestinian observers, and specifically the Arab Studies Society in Jerusalem and Dr. Khalil Tufakji, the head of its MAPS department, construction never stopped, even during what the government referred to as the decision to freeze settlement activities, which lasted 10 months. According to Mr. Tufakji, there are nearly 3,000 settlement units that were completely built during this period across different settlements in the West Bank. As for the official Palestinian position, it has condemned the construction and confirmed that such reports reveal the true intentions of Israel, and that any new attempt to extend the settlement freeze is a mere umbrella for the Israeli government's actions.
U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has urged Israel and the Palestinians to return to the negotiating table. Speaking to the American Task Force for Palestine, a pro-Palestinian group, Clinton said the Obama administration is working hard to break the current impasse. The American diplomat said While the process is difficult, the alternative is more violence.
And it's no secret that we are in a difficult period. When President Abbas and Prime Minister Netanyahu came to Washington last month to relaunch direct negotiations, we knew there would be setbacks and struggles. Our position on settlements is well known and has not changed. I cannot stand here tonight and tell you there is some magic formula that I have discovered that will break through the current impasse. But I can tell you we are working every day, sometimes every hour, to create the conditions for negotiations to continue and succeed. Now, I know that there are those who think that if they wait, scheme, or fight long enough, they can avoid compromising or negotiating. But I am here to say that that is not the case. That will only guarantee more suffering, more sorrow, and more victims.
The U.S. has agreed to sell Saudi Arabia up to $60 billion in military hardware. The deal includes dozens of Apache attack helicopters and scores of Black Hawk choppers. The oil-rich kingdom will also be acquiring 84 new F-15 fighter jets. In addition, Washington has agreed to upgrade 70 older versions of the F-15 already in the Saudi arsenal. The U.S. Congress has the authority to delay or amend the agreement, but it's not likely to do so. Andrew Shapiro, Assistant U.S. Secretary of State for Political and Military Affairs, said Israel was consulted regarding the sale, which is in part intended to send a message to Iran.
It will send a strong message to countries in the region that we are committed to support the security of our key partners and allies in the Arabian Gulf and broader Middle East. And it will enhance Saudi Arabia's ability to deter and defend against threats to its borders and to its oil infrastructure, which is critical to our economic interests. At the same time, we took into account how this sale is appropriate from a regional political military perspective and concluded it would not negatively impact Israel's security interests or Israel's qualitative military edge.
Today, Saudi Arabia and Israel find themselves on the same side of the Middle Eastern military balance because both countries are concerned with the nuclearization of Iran and an Iran with nuclear weapons. And therefore, this arms sale to Saudi Arabia poses a dilemma for Israel. Do we want to see Saudi Arabia through the lens of, let's say, the Arab-Israeli wars of the 1960s and 70s, or do we want to see Saudi Arabia through the lens of even a perhaps under-the-table partnership against the spread of Iranian hegemonial power?
The Viva Palestina aid convoy has arrived in the Gaza Strip, breaking the Israeli siege on the territory.
We managed to enter Gaza and we managed to achieve our aim by breaking the siege and bringing the humanitarian aid from 30 countries. And we are, as you know, 342 activists from all over the world. And we are very happy that we are in Gaza with to show our support and our strong support to the people under the siege, because all of us are against this illegal siege, and we are feeling that as individuals that our governments are doing nothing about this siege for 4 years.
The 150-vehicle convoy is carrying around $5 million worth of food, medicine and basic supplies. It started its journey from London on September 18th and has driven through France, Italy, Greece, Turkey, Syria and Egypt. This as Israel continues to defy international demands to lift its 4-year blockade on the coastal enclave. Well, Press TV's Hassan Al-Khatib has been with the convoy since it left London. Hassan, good to see you. It's been a long journey and you are finally at the destination, the Gaza Strip. You did seem to face some resistance this time, but all in all, it seems to have been an easier trip than some of those previous convoys, doesn't it?
Yes, there has been quite a long delay when we were in Syria. This is quite unusual. Previous convoys didn't take that long for them to go to Egypt. Why there was a delay, it's still quite unknown. But there were many factors and many conditions that the Egyptian authorities have placed on this convoy, more than any other convoy. And obviously one of them being that the people who were banned and conditions on the medical aid and the packaging of the aid and the vehicles and all the other members as well.
So you've touched on there a few of those conditions that Egypt put. You were in Syria for a number of weeks. What about the other conditions? Have you been able to find out what any of those additional conditions were to get the people that are left, the people that were allowed through into the Gaza Strip, able to enter the territory?
Yes, well, some of the conditions were obviously including the medical aid. In terms of the people who were banned, it's still not very clear or coherent as to why they were banned. We know some of them were on the Mavi Marmara, 10 of them were. Some of them were also on previous convoys to Gaza. And some of them actually didn't really pose any, well, none of them, the Viva Palestina management is saying, is none of them posed any security threat to the Egyptians. So it comes as quite of a surprise as to why those people were banned. However, having said that, one person, Zahra Birawi, who was on the banned list, is actually with us. So one person has actually managed to come to Gaza, and the other 16 were on the banned list and were not allowed to come in.
We can see there behind you the flags of some of the different activists that are coming through. I just saw an Australian flag there and a Canadian flag. This is really a multinational effort, and it seems that Viva Palestina, and of course the other efforts as well to break the siege of Gaza, they're really gaining momentum now, and they're becoming smarter as the way they're dealing with things too. They've learnt the politics and the obstacles that will be on their way, and it seems that they are being more successful every single time.
Yes, it's funny you say that, because we were very surprised about how the Egyptians this time have treated us. Previous convoys, there was a lot of delays. Some of the convoy members were attacked by certain Egyptian forces. So this time around it's been quite smooth, I have to admit, even though there was a long delay in Syria, but everything has actually been quite good. And as you said, this is a very a massive international effort, and it has succeeded. One of the main reasons of this convoy is that it wants to raise awareness of the plight of the Palestinian people. It is slowly reaching other countries and other members and other activists.
The majority of Iraqis believe the Palestinian cause is the region's most pressing concern. The reasoning behind this is that it is a delicate issue that the Middle East has struggled with since the middle of the last century. Maza Mohammed has the details.
At a time when the Arab world and the Middle East are preoccupied with Iraq, a number of Iraqi intellectuals took the time to discuss the Palestinian cause. They believe there are attempts to make people forget about it and erase it from Arab minds.
هناك تغيب عن طبيعة المخططات الإسرائيلية في موضوع الاستيطان.
There is little talk in the nature of the Israeli settlement plans.
هذه المستوطنات من قبل حكومة نتنياهو أو مجمل الحركة السياسية.
Netanyahu's government and the entire political and ideological movement in Israel aim to make the Arab citizen forget about the real reasons for the Israeli project and the international project, and not only in Palestine but across the Middle East, encompassing Arab and Islamic states.
ليس في فلسطين فقط وإنما في عموم منطقة الشرق الأوسط وهذا يشمل دول عربية وإسلامية عامة.
The professors proposed a number of recommendations during the conference that was held at the University of Baghdad's Faculty of Political Science. Their goal is to remind people of the Israeli strategy in relation to the Palestinian cause and its continued disregard for international resolutions.
It is the largest marginalization campaign of the Arab League summits. Israel does not deal with the Arab League, but with each state separately. This is evidence that it is marginalizing the peace process and that it plans to continue its settlement project and expand its state in the region.
No one would disagree that, for years, the struggle of the Palestinian people has been an obsession for the Arabs, including Iraqis, who have learned to live with it. However, even with what Iraq has been going through for the past few years, they presented their brothers' plight instead of their country's ordeal, allowing political science professors in their country to follow suit.
At least Iraq has some hope of resolving its issue, but the Palestinian cause has no solution.
Right now, both seem to have no solution.
Let us solve our issue, and, God willing, the Palestinian cause will be next.
It seems the Iraqi issue is closer to a resolution, despite all of its contradictions, and all of the disparities between the Iraqi and the Palestinian causes. Advocates of the latter have been going around the world for over 60 years, and it is impossible to predict the means to a resolution in light of the Israeli settlement campaign and internal Palestinian division. Maza Mohammed, Al-Sumaria. Life is gradually returning to normal in Karachi, Pakistan's largest and most crowded city, following 5 days of ethnic dispute over power and influence that claimed the lives of 85 citizens. The cautious calm witnessed in Karachi in the aftermath of the ethnic unrest was assessed by our correspondent Abdul Rahman Matar in the following report.
With heavy and cautious steps, Karachi is returning to the hustle and bustle of daily life. Karachi, Pakistan's largest city and its economic capital, is trying to recuperate following 5 days of total security deterioration, causing rage and fear among the residents.
We want Karachi to be a secure city. We are all Muslims here. Fighting among people is a dangerous precedent. There's no guarantee to this fragile security. The situation may erupt again at any time.
Some preferred to go back to work, but barriers separated them from the main streets in an attempt to escape rioters. The main people who suffer from the lack of security are average citizens, with many randomly killed because of their ethnicity in an effort to terrorize others. Funeral processions for the victims were held away from neighborhoods inhabited by political rivals competing for power. Karachi has become a battlefield between Indian immigrants who came to Pakistan after the separation of the two countries, on one side, and the Pashtun ethnic group on the other. Both groups are blaming the People's Party, which is their ruling partner in the Sindh and Khyber regions, as well as the central government.
They have seen their national identity cards being stripped away, and they are killed based on their ethnicity. The killers usually possess advanced weapons and lots of ammunition.
The bodies of those killed were transported to Karachi hospitals based on their ethnicities. After a few hours, some dared to come to the hospital to look for a relative or friend. Meanwhile, the politicians were busy justifying their positions and exchanging accusations. Abdul Rahman Matar, Al Jazeera, Karachi.
Outgoing Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki has arrived in Turkey to discuss the formation of the new government. Maliki held talks with Turkish officials in a bid to rally support for a second term. During the visit, the two sides are expected to discuss several issues, including economic cooperation. Ankara plans to invest nearly $3.2 billion in the Mansouriya and Sheba natural gas fields in Iraq. The Turkish Petroleum Corporation, TPAO, and its partners have won bids to develop the two oil fields. On the fourth leg of his regional tour, Maliki stopped yesterday in Cairo, where he met with Egyptian President Hosni Mubarak and his Prime Minister Ahmed Nazif. Maliki said he expects to form a coalition government soon. He also stressed the importance of allowing Egyptian companies to continue investing freely in Iraqi markets.
We have Turkish, Syrian, Iranian, Korean and Japanese workers in Iraq. What is being said about Iraq is exaggerated. Yes, there are occasional security breaches. We're not denying it. However, it's not an issue of security collapse, as we have seen before. There was a time when Iraqis couldn't move from one province to another without risking their lives. Sure, there are still cases of killings or assassinations here and there. Most of these cases are isolated incidents and therefore shouldn't affect the daily operations of foreign companies. We, as a government, have expressed willingness to help secure and protect the workplace.
Joining us from Ankara is our Dubai correspondent, Iman Nassar. Iman, what is on Nouri al-Maliki's Turkish agenda today?
Yes, outgoing Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki arrived today in Turkey as part of his regional tour. Maliki met today with Turkish President Abdullah Gül in Istanbul. In the next hour, he is due to arrive in the Turkish capital of Ankara, where he is scheduled to meet with Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan and other Turkish officials. Maliki's visit to Turkey aims to help Iraq overcome the political vacuum due to the government's stalemate 7 months after the elections. Today, outgoing Iraqi Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki is expected to discuss with Turkish officials a number of issues, most notably the formation of the new government, as well as the issue of the Kurdistan Workers' Party.
Iman, Turkey also hosted representatives of other Iraqi blocs. How does Maliki's visit differ from his rivals, especially those competing for the post of Prime Minister?
Yes, Sahar. Before the elections, Maliki's coalition, the State of Law, was the only party that didn't visit Turkey, in protest over Turkish indirect support to Maliki's opponent, Iyad Alawi. Alawi and Hashemi have repeatedly visited Turkey before and after the elections. Maliki's visit comes to break the ice between Turkey and his government. In addition, Maliki wants to diffuse Turkish fear over the possibility of keeping the Sunni Arabs, or Alawi's bloc, out of the upcoming government. Turkish Foreign Minister Ahmet Davutoglu has repeatedly rejected the formation of a sectarian government in Iraq. This was also reiterated by Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan. During a joint press conference with Syrian President Bashar Assad in Damascus nearly a week ago, Erdogan said that an Iraqi sectarian government will not help stability and security in Iraq. Erdogan also stressed the importance of forming a national unity government that includes all national and religious sects in Iraq. Turkey is also concerned about the issue of Kirkuk. It fears that any agreement between Maliki and the Kurds will be at the expense of the Sunni Arabs and Turkmen in Kirkuk. The Kurds want to annex Kirkuk to the Iraqi Kurdistan region.
قالت الأمم المتحدة إن استفتاء تقرير المصير جنوب البلاد تعترضه جملة من العراقيين.
The UN said that the referendum on South Sudan's self-determination is being hampered by delays and a negatively charged atmosphere of threats and accusations. The warning comes after the UN announced a plan to create a buffer zone between Sudan's south and north in anticipation of a new wave of armed conflict in the country. In its first response, Khartoum rejected any foreign mobilization on its soil without its approval. President of the semi-autonomous government of southern Sudan, Salva Kiir, has requested the UN Security Council create a buffer zone between the north and south in a bid to prevent violence over the January referendum.
ومعنا هنا في الاستوديو الخبير في الشؤون الافريقيه بالجامعه الروسيه للعلوم الانسانيه.
Joining us at the studio is Mr. Sergei Sergeyev, expert in African affairs at the University of Russia for Human Sciences. Mr. Sergeyev, welcome. How far will the UN go to create a buffer zone between Sudan's north and south, and what ramifications, if any, will this have on the country's national sovereignty?
على السيادة طبعا في هذا البلد.
الأمم المتحدة مستعدة لعزل
The UN is willing to isolate the South from the North, pending the referendum results.
الاستفتاء لأن خبراء الأمم المتحدة وخبراء
Experts from the UN and other countries believe that secession by the South is the only way to help end the Sudanese crisis.
هذا هو مخرج وحيد لحل.
To answer your question, the separation would not have any negative effects that would compromise national sovereignty. On the contrary, it will serve Sudan's national interest because it will help boost the country's stability.
Obama said Sudan ranks high on the U.S. administration's priority list. How is this being played out in Sudan, particularly with regard to the referendum and the peace process?
الملف السوداني ومشكلة دارفور
It's not unusual that the Sudanese file, particularly the Darfur issue, is high-ranking on the U.S. administration's priority list.
أمريكا تهتم بهذه المنطقة. السودان يحمل أهمية.
The U.S. is concerned about this part of the world due to its geopolitical and strategic significance.
الولايات المتحدة كانت هناك الكارثة الإنسانية نتيجة للنزاعات.
A humanitarian catastrophe unfolded in Sudan as a result of armed conflicts, raising concern among the international community, including the U.S. administration.
الإدارة الأمريكية تهتم بهذا الموضوع كثيرا.
The U.S. believes a peaceful solution to the conflict in Sudan is still feasible. Having said that, the U.S. wants to help protect the interests of American oil companies in Sudan. This is the larger part of the reason for U.S. concern.
النفطية الأمريكية في هذه المنطقة، لذلك الأمريكيون يهتمون بهذا الموضوع كثيرا.
نعم، كيف ترى مستقبل البلاد؟
How do you foresee the future of Sudan amidst international intervention? Will the fate of Sudan go the same way as other countries, where regional intervention has been a problem?
إقليمية في شؤونه.
Isolating the south from the north may help alter the balance of power in the region, as other neighbouring countries may follow suit. The world could help diffuse the level of deterioration in the relationship between the north and the south. I personally believe that secession by the south will lead to positive outcomes. Besides, there are no other actual solutions available. It's impossible for the people of the south to coexist with the people of the north within one state. There are no other solutions to the problem. The deterioration may continue, but I believe it will be less intense. I don't think that secession will lead to clashes or armed conflicts.
The views expressed on Mosaic are from contributing broadcasters, not Link TV or its sponsors. The production of Mosaic is made possible from support of viewers like you. Thank you. Watch Mosaic World News online. Stay up to date with breaking news. Read our blog. Get transcripts of past shows and more at linktv.org/mosaic.
This program is brought to you by Link TV for educational and non-commercial use only. Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs, programs which connect you to the world.